Hey everyone, you will notice a slightly different setting for today's video. Just to kind of explain that really quickly. I typically record these videos on Thursday. I work in the wedding industry and special private events and such. I had one on Thursday, so I wasn't able to make it. And I have a wedding today, which is Friday in Rochester. So I thought, hey, what a great opportunity to make my Bills video in the car ride on the way to Rochester. I'm not sure of the safety necessarily involved with this, but I'm going for it because it feels like too important of a week to just skip. And I'm really not sure where I want to start, but as I was thinking about it, I landed on one spot, and that has to do with something I talk about a lot on these videos, and that is luck. A lot of times when you say, oh, teams are just lucky, people take it as an insult. But a lot of times it's true. There's some level of truth to it. I'm not saying you're necessarily a bad team, but you've been fortunate in one way or another. Sometimes it goes the other way. And I think a lot of people have sort of made that case for the Bills. Just to throw a stat at you, the Dolphins have fumbled 16 times on offense, and they've recovered 11 of them. It's pretty good. The Bills have fumbled 8 times on offense, and they've recovered 1. 1 out of 8. The league average is 49%, and that 1 was just this Monday night when James Cook, while running right between the hash marks, just dropped the ball. It bounced right into his hand. So they really haven't even recovered a fumble. That was a little lucky. I guess that's kind of sort of encompassing the whole point, is that recovering fumbles is luck, in a way. Forcing fumbles is a skill. Recovering them is a bit of luck, because the ball is on the ground. It can really bounce either way. You have no control of which way it's bouncing. It's a free-for-all. Anyway, the difference is, when teams get lucky, when good teams get lucky specifically, they make the other team pay for it. And the Bills used to be this team as recently as week 4. If Tua overthrows his receiver and it just lands in the lap of Micah Hyde, great, you had it defended well, but he overthrew the pass. He really had no impact on that. There's a little bit of luck involved with just about everything. Not, again, I'm not saying it to be a bad thing. I don't want you to take it that way, nothing else matters in sports besides luck, right? No, that's not what I'm saying. But when you get that, when something fortunate happens for you, you need to make the other team pay for it. And the bad teams don't. The bad teams will get what a lucky bounce. Wow, awesome. They get the ball and they go 3 and out. And the Bills have been more on that side lately than they have the other. But people will point to, Josh Allen has been a bit unlucky, with the exception of a few throws. I don't know how many times he has to throw the sideline thing and get undercut for an interception. It happened again on Monday night. It just seems it's happened 3 times this year, and it has stood out so badly all 3 times. New England, actually 4 times, right? New England, Denver, Cincinnati, and Jordan Whitehead did it to him week 1 against the Jets. So it's happened 4 times. So yeah, those are on him. Is what happened to Gabe Davis in the Monday Nighter. Is that on him? No, of course it's not on Josh Allen. You could maybe make the argument that Josh doesn't need to throw a 99-mile-an-hour fastball every time. I guess. Yeah, that's correct. But it's really not his fault that Gabe Davis volleyballed that to Justin Simmons for a turnover. That's bad luck for Josh Allen. What it might mean as a whole for the Bills, is Gabe Davis that good? I think that's a question worth asking. Look, reflect on yourself, in situations like this. That's bad luck. Yeah, but look at it a little bit further. It's bad luck for Josh Allen. I've already said that. But could you look at that play and be like, man, maybe we can just do better than Gabe Davis at receiver? I think you can. I think that's a fair assessment. It's not like dropping passes is something new for Gabe, especially this year. That's more of a long-term question. I'm not going to jump into the offseason stuff just yet because we still have 7 games to go. And yeah, I'm having a hard time with the 7 games, but things have happened. Since the Monday night loss to Denver, Deshaun Watson is out for the season. Joe Burrow has sustained a wrist injury. Like, things are opening back up. You're almost in the same position as the Bengals. The unfortunate thing is that they have the tiebreaker over you because they've beaten you. But, Joe Burrow is injured. We don't know for how long. I would bet on it being a short-term absence, but he might need some type of, scope surgery or something. But I think it's going to be short-term. But he still might miss 2 or 3 games. Maybe a month. I have no idea. It's purely speculative. I know Deshaun Watson's not coming back this year. I think the Browns, despite how good their defense is, are pretty much finished with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Let's just be realistic here. I would like to think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to come back to earth. I didn't mean to skip over the Bengals. The Bengals that's a huge question mark. You're missing one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league, possibly. And you're 5-5. You also have 5 conference losses, just the same as the Bills. Anyway, yeah, these are all AFC North teams. Yeah, I hope Pittsburgh eventually starts to make sense. They've been outgained in every game. They have a negative point differential. They're 6-3. How? Maybe they've been lucky. Maybe. Anyway, I don't want to just speed past what happened on Monday night. We need to talk about it because it led to an actual firing. The Bills moved on from Ken Dorsey and promoted Joe Brady, who I've always liked Joe Brady. I celebrated his signing when they hired him because I really liked the work he did at LSU. Of course, he was under Matt Rule in Carolina, and that situation was just a total disaster. That's not to say he had no hand in that, but Matt Rule was a disaster for Carolina. So I'm willing to give him another chance. I want to see what this looks like. That's really the most interesting thing about Sunday's game against the Jets to me is how Joe Brady looks. But to go back to Denver, I'm getting ahead of myself again. People are acting like I'm seeing these Russell Wilson apology forms and stuff on Twitter and stuff. So stupid. Did he complete a bunch of his passes? Yes. Were any of them super difficult? Only the touchdown to Cortland Sutton, which is that is here we're falling back to luck. Russell Wilson has kind of made a career out of this, though. It must be frustrating to be his offensive coordinator. Sean Payton must just be like, what the heck? But then that happens, and you're like, well, I can't be mad at him. What's the point in calling a play? He really just dances around and dodges defenders until he can either run for 6 yards and extend the ball and get 8 or something, because he does that constantly. Him and Kyler Murray are the 2 worst guys with that. Or he just runs around and then just floats it up there, a little moon ball, and he's just so frustrating to watch. And I bet he's frustrating to coach to a certain extent. But yeah, the Russell Wilson apology forms, come on. You did nothing really impressive against the Bills. You're 4-5. You beat the Bills, you beat the Chiefs. Congratulations. Really, it's nothing to scuff at, I suppose. But the Bills turned the ball over 4 times. You got 6 points off of it. You missed 2 extra points. You did the things that bad teams do, and the Bills didn't make you pay for it. Again, luck. The Bills had no say in missing extra points. They did a great job on defense. Rasul Douglas, great forced fumble. To deny the Broncos points off of turnovers. Nice. Great job. The extra points, there's luck involved there. Usually, if you're good, you make teams pay for stupid things like that. And the Bills should have. But they went and did the stupidest thing of all, which we have to talk about. And that is the 12 men on the field penalty, of course. That's Sean McDermott agreed to this. This isn't a criticism at all, really. He agreed to this. He said it first. It's just an inexcusable lack of preparation. The situation is completely obvious. The Broncos have taken 2 kneel downs on 1st and 2nd down. You've used both your timeouts. So you know that maybe they snap it and launch it to the end zone, but probably not I guess I could see why you might think that, but you know they're not going to do anything in bounds. Even though they did. You know they're not going to run a play in bounds is what I mean. Because the timing was just a little too risky. But what they seem content to do is rush their field goal unit. They did it at the end of the first half too. At the end of both halves, the Broncos were content in running their kicker out in the field. Who does that? They were like, yep, we'll just rush out there, get set, and kick. Bad teams do that. So the Broncos they're afraid of Josh Allen, obviously. So they're like, we need to waste more time. So let's take a knee and rush the field goal unit out there and kick it. And the field goal unit was obviously coming at some point. So the Bills should have been prepared for that. You could have put your field goal block out there on third down, probably. Or most of it. But to be unprepared for that situation, like the fact that he misses it is just a salt in the wound. I mean, usually there's probably an element of luck to that as well. Usually he makes that, you don't even think about the 12 men on the field penalty, but he misses it, and it might cost you a playoff spot. That play alone. You can, look back at the loss to Mac Jones, the loss to Zach Wilson, but like that play, holy mackerel. And it gets Ken Dorsey fired. Is Ken Dorsey fired if that field goal, if the Bills only have 11 men and that field goal misses? I would say probably not. Wouldn't you agree? Why would they have fired him? They won the game. But I think that McDermott, who's obviously not going to fire himself, and the owner, Terry Pegula, I think that they understand how upset the fans were in that instance. Understandably so. I think we were all upset. And, not me necessarily in this instance, but fans were out for blood. Like, that's just a saying. Like, they were like, oh, man, somebody has to pay for this. And Ken Dorsey has sort of been in the fall guy position, if you will. The fall guy position. All year. Because the offense has floundered over the past, month and a half. But, I mean, they scored 22 points. They turned the ball over 4 times. You stop turning the ball over, you're scoring 30 probably, right? Easily. But I get it. I do understand. Because, like I said, people are upset. McDermott's upset, of course. And these things that happen when teams underachieve. The Bills have high expectations for themselves, of course. They write playoff caliber on all the walls. They write, they put up championship caliber decals in the playoffs. And now they're like a 1/3 chance of even making it. But with the things that have happened this week, I'm not shutting the door on that. It looks a little bleak, especially given the schedule coming up. I truly believe I truly believe the Bills can beat any team on any day. My issue is with them putting that type of performance together that's needed to do that for like a month straight in the playoffs, for example. But you almost have like a playoff run coming up right here. You have the Jets, it's almost like an elimination game. Both teams' backs are right up against the wall. They're 4-5. You're 5-5. The loser their season might be. I mean, you probably go to like 10 or 15% for the playoffs from there. Then you got the Eagles, you got the Chiefs, you got the Cowboys, you got the Chargers in there. I mean, this is a run of playoff caliber. Oops, excuse me. That was bound to happen, I guess, because I'm holding it with my hand. This is a run of playoff caliber opponents. So, can we just put it together? Just stop turning the ball over. Sounds so simple. It sounds so easy. Just stop it. Don't bench James Cook for getting a fumble ripped out of him, maybe when the whistle should have gone for forward progress, or they benched James Cook for 3 drives. And then they try a swing pass to Latavius Murray on one of those plays, and he drops it. That's a play designed for Cook. They probably run that in practice all week for Cook. But because he fumbles, you put him on the bench. And, I mean, one drive is probably fine to me. Like, hey, you're going to go back out there, but I need you to just, like, take a breath. Get your head on straight. And we'll send you back out there. And he sort of made that decision look foolish once he got back out there. I mean, he ran for 100 yards, and they intentionally kept him off the field for 3 possessions. So I want to see more of him. I want to see more of Josh in the running game. I saw a stat that the Bills are 17-1 when Josh has 10 carries. And maybe kneel downs are included in that. I don't know. But they have 17-1 when he has 10 carries. And he hasn't done that at all this year. And I know that you want to protect him. Mainly from himself, probably. But you're giving the defense one less thing to defend. And the Jets this week, I mean, it's like they say dogfight. Sure, yeah. Street fight, really. I've said on here plenty of times, I think the Jets are one of the worst matchups in the league for the Bills, given the talent that they have on defensive line and in the secondary. They have they're terrible matchup for just about anybody. They can cover and they can pressure. Those are the two things that every defensive coordinator wants from their defense. But they can't play offense. And that's the big difference. Like, their plan is to win games 13-10, 16-13, you know? Like, that's how they game plan every week. Because they're so afraid of letting Zach Wilson throw the ball. And last week, against the Raiders, he throws the game-ending interception. The game-crippling interception. Like, after he was not spectacular by any means, but managing the game, they're in it. It's like, hey, we need you on this drive, and he throws the pick to Spillane. He will do that. He will make the mistake. If you just, you know, the thing is it just goes to show you how bad he actually is, because there's weapons there. I mean, any quarterback would die for Garrett Wilson. Would love to have Breece Hall in the backfield. And Zach Wilson can't do anything with it. He occasionally hits Garrett Wilson on a nice play. Occasionally. I think any quarterback can occasionally do that, especially if you're playing at the highest level, with the exception of Tommy DeVito in New York, and his counterpart with the Giants. Although he was undrafted, and Zach Wilson was top 3 pick. So I just like to rag on the Giants and Tommy DeVito when I can, because I can't believe Tommy DeVito is like a pro quarterback. He's incapable of completing passes. Anyway, I digress. Season's really on the line, right? I mean, you certainly have to go 5-2 over the last 7 games. And really the only losses I think you can afford are to the Eagles and the Cowboys, because they're the NFC teams. You don't want any more conference losses. You certainly can't lose to the Jets. Maybe you could position yourself still to go to Week 18 with the Dolphins and have that be a winner takes the division. Like, I think most fans would sign up for that right now. But what if the loser was out? Would you do that? Winner, division, loser out, and we're at Miami. That would certainly be the flex Sunday night game. Maybe you get there, but you're 2 games behind. You got to assume you can get the 1 game by beating them, but you're still another game behind them, because they only have 3 losses. And they have somewhat of an easy schedule coming up here, but the end of their schedule gets a little bit tougher. Anyway, Bills, Jets, backs against the wall. Like I said, both teams. I mean, my gut says pick the Bills because they're at home in a must-win situation, but it's as close to must-win as it gets. I mean, but they're like, until the offense snaps out of it, I guess I can't really pick it. So let me pick something stupid, like a stupid score, 18-15 Jets. That's how they try to win games. Guys, thanks for joining me on my trip to Rochester this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the game on Sunday. And as always, above all else, go Bills.